Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lady Ink Radio. I am the one and only Inked Lips, and this is Lady Ink Radio. Today, we will be interviewing Leroy McKenzie. I'm sorry for all the technical difficulty. We had a slight problem with the interview on Blog Talk Radio. We had a problem with some technical difficulty with commentary and with the phone numbers. I'm really sorry about that, but we will eventually be getting that fixed. But well, on with our show. Oh, first off, before we start, I know times are hard, and we're all doing that. We're all doing the best that we can. So if you ever feel like you're not doing your best, just remind yourself that you are doing the best that you can, and you have people around you who support you very much so. And you will go far in life with whatever you choose to do because you got the right people around you. Cherish your friends, cherish your family, and just give as much as you can to others and to yourself. Oh, I see our guest is here. Hello, Mr. McKenzie. I will bring you right in. This is new. This is very new. Didn't know we had that. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Let me turn you up a bit. Looks like we've had an interesting morning, haven't we?
Yep, but that's technology for you.
Oh yes, very much so. But we will be definitely getting that fixed. Okay. Well, welcome to Lady Ink Radio, Mr. McKenzie. We're glad to have you.
Oh, thank you for having me. Absolutely, it is indeed an honor and a pleasure. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Actually, we're the lucky ones. Okay, so you are an entrepreneur. You are an author. You are a businessman. So tell us, what made you go into this line of business?
Well, I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit, so to speak. It was something that has been instilled in me since I was a young boy. I was always told by my mother and my father that I could do and be anything that I wanted to be when I grew up, and I've just never really honestly felt like I fit into corporate America. So because I was one of those folks that I thought differently, I acted differently. I wasn't there to allow anyone to kind of tell me and do anything and everything. I wasn't one of those go along to get along type of folks. So I came there to do a job, do what I needed to do, handle my responsibilities, and go home. So that, taking on that mindset and just having that way of thinking doesn't always play well in corporate America. But I've always just had that mentality of being myself. So, I've always had the desire to have my own business anyway. So it was just the thing, okay, I'm going to learn what I need to learn, get the experience that I need to get, all of those things, and then eventually would have my own business.
Right. Very good. Very good. Oh, I've seen on your page that you have this quote called "Don't be a boss, be a leader." Do you consider yourself a boss or a leader?
Here's the thing. I consider myself a leader, not a boss. And here's the difference between to me between a boss and a leader. A boss is somebody who is all about the title, who is looking to kind of be the center of attention to me. As opposed to a leader, here are the characteristics of those who I believe are leaders. I use the acronym LEADER, LEADER, and that's someone who's always learning. They are always executing. They're assisting. They're developing. They are empowering, and they get results. That's what a leader is to me. It's somebody who accentuates those particular characteristics. They personify that. When I look at leaders, I look at leadership. I see those things in someone that I consider to be a leader.
Very good, very good, very good. Whew. Hmm. Okay, now I understand that pretty. I understand that. I understand that a lot better now. What drives your motivation?
Say that again. You said, what is my
What drives your
motivation?
motivation?
Well, what drives it actually is being able um, to see people bring their vision to reality. There's nothing like assisting someone, whether it's someone who is an aspiring author who's already an author, and seeing them bring their vision that they have for their book um, come to fruition or reality, what I call it, or it's an entrepreneur or someone who's an aspiring entrepreneur, and being able to assist them to be able to get to where it is that they're trying to get to, what they may see in their mind, but actually bringing that to a reality where they actually see it coming to fruition. So that's what my motivation is. That motivates me, is seeing that and helping others.
Mm. Yeah, you got the same imagination that I got. I'm like that. Most definitely,
Hmm.
most definitely. Okay. I hear you're a poet. You've written you've written one book called The Inner Soul 1 and 2. Can you tell me, were these poems you've written when you were younger or when you were in college?
Well, actually, the Inner Soul, it's a volume one and a volume two. And they're actually two different books, and they were poems. Those were my early writings, and they basically came from a time when I was in college, and then when I got out of college, I'd written some too, but the majority of them were written when I was in school, and it was just a hobby to me. It was just something that I was doing to kind of get what was inside of me out. I had to get it out, and it came out in that particular form, and I just found myself being able to put it into poetic form in writing like that, and it was a way for me to just kind of kind of relax, relate, and just kind of get away from the craziness and stuff like
Mm.
that. So those writings in that in the volume in the Inner Soul Volume One and Two are from my earlier years. And that came to fruition because I found myself some years later, just kind of sharing, my pieces with, with friends and stuff like that. And they're like, "Oh, well, you should put these in a book." It's like, I'm not thinking about writing. I didn't know anything about writing. Didn't have any kind of thought. It was just something that I was doing, and I started to see how, several people, more and more people started saying it as I started sharing it. So I said, okay. I said, well, I said, Lord, I said, if this is what you want me to do with it, to put it in book, then you're gonna have to, one, because I didn't think I had enough to put into a book at the time.
Mm.
So I was just like, well, I'm gonna leave this in your hands because I don't know nothing about writing. So you got to put the right people in the right places in order to be able to show me how to get this done and those things done. So I found that the more that I wrote, the more I had to say. So it started to snowball effect in my writing. So I wrote those two, put them out there. And then I just recently had my third book because I kept writing. I still write, but I finally put another collection together in another book, and that's the third book, which is the Vibes and Sounds,
Mm.
the Poet Chronicles, Volume One. So I did that, and that's another collection. Now these are more more recent things, and it's just my experiences, my people who are involved in my life's experiences, my relationship with friends and family,
Mm.
and then things that I observe, and things I felt like should be talked about, you know, that should be talked about and stuff. So that's how that came about.
Very, very good, very good. Can you tell me which one of the poems in The Inner Soul 1 and 2 is most reflected on yourself? What was one that touched you the most and you think that would help touch other people.
Oh wow, you would accept that. Oh, that's a
I'm a
good one.
poet myself, I'm a poet myself, Mr. McKenzie. It's it's
Um,
very
it's
serious. It's very serious.
yeah, it's. Well, I mean, there's so many because honestly, those first the first writings, I mean, it was all about my experiences that I had in relationships, the way that I felt about myself and stuff like that. So, I kind of based them off of those, but the one that I would say is probably the most reflective of me, probably would be. And I'm trying to think because I don't have them necessarily in front of me. I would say, hmm, you got me thinking now. Wow,
That's the plan.
you got me thinking now. Um, there's several of them. Oh, I got one, and I'm trying to think of the title of it. Exception to the rule. That's one of my
Could
titles.
you say that again,
Exception to
please? Could you say that? Is that exception to the wolves
sure.
or the
Ex
exception to the world?
no exception to the rule.
The rule. Okay.
The rule. RULE. Yeah,
Okay.
exception to the rule.
Okay.
And I'll give you the premise, the background of that particular poem. I just taken an exam from one of my classes, or I shouldn't say I just taken an exam. I just taken an exam and I felt really good about it. I felt like I just done really well on it.
Okay.
So I just had this. I was just had this really good feeling inside of me, and I'm like, I'm not who people think are the norm. I'm not somebody who is who goes with the normal.
Mm.
I'm the exception, not that because most people say you want to be the rule, not the exception.
Mm.
But my thinking was the opposite. I want to be the exception, not the rule. I don't want to be like everybody else. I'm not average like everybody else.
Right.
So
Right.
me being able to do well on that exam, which I felt like I did, and actually believe I did at the time, did really well. I'm like, man, it was about having that confidence in yourself and believing in who you are, and not allowing other people to kind of dictate who you are, and not having to think like you have to be like everybody else. You can be that exception, not the rule.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. You really just did, because I was about to say, what do you think? Why do you think that we're so comfortable with being an exception instead of a rule? You basically just said it yourself. It's like, so I don't have to repeat it.
But it just I think it's a thing too where people are comfortable. People want to be comfortable, you know, and those who are comfortable fit into being the rule. They fit into being average. They think that being mediocre is okay. They think that going like I talked about before, going along to get along. Oh, I don't want to cause any trouble. I don't want to think. I want to just think like everybody else.
Mm.
Because if I think outside that box, then I might be scrutinized. I might be ostracized. I might be seen as being,
Insane.
being something being something radical or whatever and everything like that. So, so that's me is being the exception. I mean, being the rule, being the exception, not the rule.
Exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
Very much so. Very much so. Oh, I'm gonna have some fun with you with this, because like well, I already know what I'm about to ask you, so you better get that brain cracking. So
Okay. Okay.
okay. Would you ever consider writing a fictional novel if you had the chance? If so, what would you
Well,
call it and what would it be about?
well, you know what? I actually I'd never thought about, I guess because of the road and the route that I've taken,
Hmm.
fiction hasn't been something that I thought about because because I understand what my lane is, so to speak, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So now I will say this. I didn't have necessarily the thought of writing a book, but I did have the idea of of having a play. And yeah,
Hmm.
the title of the play was Divine's Intervention. And it was about this young lady who um, she inherits this restaurant type of spot, kind of like a poetry spot, restaurant type spot
Mm-hmm.
from her family, and she meets this guy. Her name is, of course, Divine. Her name is Divine. She meets this guy, and she's about to she's about to lose the place,
Mm-hmm.
but she encounters this guy who comes along in her life. He's had, different battles and things that she's encountered in life, so she's not trusting of everyone. So here comes this guy, and he's everything opposite of what she believes that that people who are about who are about being nice, being humble, and all those things are about. So she's hesitant, of course, of getting to know this guy and letting him into her space and stuff. So it didn't have necessarily a book, fiction book, but I did have a play that I had an idea about, and that's what it was.
This play, do you still think you would want to create it?
Well, you know what? I kind of left it alone. Unfortunately, I mean, I know I
Oh,
still have
oh,
some of the writings. Yeah, some what I kind of the idea I've written. I think I still have it written down. Because I put it in a binder and everything because I was trying to develop the characters of the play and everything like that. And I just kind of just let it go, let it go.
sounds like you need to get back on it.
I know, right?
Yes, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Cause yeah, cause this was when and this was probably maybe like the mid to late, no, I would say late '90s or 2000s when plays were really really big. You had Tyler Perry
Yes.
was really big as far as like with his plays, David E. Talbot and a couple others that that were doing playwriting and everything like that too. So I just had the thought that this would be something different. This would be something different and refreshing, and I'm always about, I mean, even though they are too, but I'm always about sending a positive message and having a message that people can come away with something that they can either apply to their life or be uplifting in their life, kind of inspiration.
And if you had a chance to create divine intervention, what would you want people to take away from it?
What I would want to take within to take away from it would be um, that you can that you can trust people, is one thing, and that people aren't always like everyone else, because that's what and I forgot his name, the guy's character that I gave. I know it's something Green. I can't remember the first name that I gave him. But the character Green that I gave him, he was just somebody that wasn't like everybody else that she had encountered. So we tend to sometimes, like I talked about before, put people in this box and stereotype them
Yes.
because of our experiences that we've had. So we tend to kind of prejudge people
Yeah.
and say that, oh well, this person is all, I already know what they're like, as opposed to seeing them for the individual that they are. And now if those characteristics happen to be like others, then then so be it. But initially you should be looking at the person as an individual, and then as you get to know them, you can get to see their characteristics, their personality, and who they are at their core.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think that the message would be out of that.
Right. 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 That is definitely a message that needs to be presented and heard. All right.
Hmm.
Okay. What made you start J Enterprises?
What made me start JNF Enterprises? Me wanting to make a difference, But two, here's the threefold premise of JNF Enterprises. That's to enlighten, to empower, and to impact individuals.
Enlighten, empower, impact individual.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to teach people something. I wanted to be able to equip people with something, and then I wanted to be able to impact people to do something. So that's why I started it. And just wanting to leave something, leave my mark on this world. Once I'm gone, that I can honestly say that I touch people's lives in such a way that I made them better after they met me than
Mm-hmm.
than before before they met.
Yes. Yes. Okay. 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 This is gonna go back to the writing question now. I I read in your bio that you work for Men of Faith magazine. How long have you worked for them? Well, how long have you written for them? Excuse me. Do you continue to work write for them?
Yeah, well, I actually I do freelance writing for them. I'm a writer for the magazine, and it's a quarterly magazine. Comes out quarterly, and I write articles that focus on that come from a male perspective because the magazine is a group of men writers,
Mm-hmm.
and we write on different topics, because you have some gentlemen that write on relationships, some that write on just kind of things that are just happening. I come from the business finance perspective, so things that I do come from that entrepreneurship business perspective, and I try to write articles that have to do with us, and dealing with that, and giving just passing on some knowledge, some information and tools
Mm-hmm.
that are beneficial for the reader, that they can take and use, and even trying to take kind of what's going on in our society,
Mm-hmm.
and putting it from that business finance perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and how that affects us in that manner, in that way.
Okay. What do you get out of writing for this magazine? What do you get out of it personally?
Me personally, what I get out of it, it's actually it's a brotherhood that I've gotten that I wouldn't have ordinarily have, of brothers that are, I mean, and we're from all across the country. So, so we're not in one particular area. So you have brothers that are on I think in the South, that are in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
I think up in North, up in Detroit. So you have these brothers that are all over, but we come together on for this particular, ideal idea, that was put together, and we try to uplift other brothers, other men,
Mm-hmm.
and just show the positive aspect of men, and what we can do as men when we come together, and we give you information, hopefully knowledge and resources that you can use that will help you to be a better man. And also, I mean, women can read it as well. Also, I mean, she had the young lady who was the a creator and editor of the magazine, Alyssa. She actually has there's a woman's part to that. So she has a men's magazine, and she has a woman's magazine.
Oh,
So she had,
so it's run by a woman.
say it again.
Men's Faith is run by a woman.
Yes, yes. The creator of it is a woman. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
wow.
yeah. She,
Ooh, yes.
yep,
Yes.
yep. But I mean, because she wanted to do something that was positive for men, and she wanted to be able to show, like I talked about, that there are exceptional men that are doing positive things and that can pour into other men. So she gave us the platform in order to be able to do that, which is awesome.
Mm. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. I seriously, that is so amazing that she's done this for you guys. Like that
Yeah,
is truly amazing.
yeah,
I might have to check
yeah.
out.
She's awesome.
I might have to check out this
Yeah.
magazine myself. Shoot.
She is awesome.
Mm,
She is totally awesome. Totally awesome.
definitely, definitely. Okay. Well, I'm glad to see that you get a fulfillment out of doing magazine work. If you had a chance to start your own magazine or have started one, because you seem like to be the jack of all trades, with your playwriting self, well, emerging playwriting self, what would you call your magazine? Would you call it the
Mm.
same title you call J Enterprises?
No, I would no, I wouldn't definitely wouldn't use it JNF Enterprises, but I would use something I would give it want to give it a name like maybe after one of my apparel lines, which is Christ One First um magazine.
Hmm.
And it would come from the premise of putting Christ first, and because that's
That's
me.
mainly your business
Um,
goal.
yeah, and it would just focus on um, those things that have to do with upbuilding and creating more more it would be based on creating more exposure for the kingdom and those who are doing great things for the kingdom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. That would be truly amazing to do. Truly amazing. Okay. I hear you have an apparel line, which you show me. Like, by the way, I love the Unstoppable t-shirt.
Oh, thank you,
Yes,
thank
very
you.
much so. Okay. Have you ever thought of expanding the line with pants, dresses, hats, bags, or sunglasses at all?
Well, I've actually thought about not with the I guess with pants, but like sweatpants, sweatshirts, of course, the hats. Because I do have one of the others that I didn't send to you is my Try Three Jesus, the Christ One First that I talked about, and then the Be Unstoppable, all three of those. But doing the hats, the Try Three Jesus, I have the hats and the t-shirts. So, but having different things, whether it's I have thought about whether it's mouse pads, whether it's tote bags, because I think those are really great. And then also the I'd even thought about doing the license plates too, the license plate covers with that on it as well. So yes, definitely something that I'm looking to actually to grow into doing.
Very good, very good, very good. Okay. How many books have you published at your company besides yours?
Well, okay. Besides mine, I actually have over 15 other authors that I actually publish.
Mm,
Yeah, 15 other authors, and still adding on because I have a couple that I'm working with right now to get ready to come out this year as well. So it's actually 15 plus and counting.
oh, oh, good, good numbers. Very good numbers. Okay. Which one of your books did you find the most fun to write, and what was the one that was most difficult to write?
The one that was actually the most fun to write was the one that I did um uh the one that I did on the entrepreneurs,
Mm.
young and gifted.
Oh, 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 I'm sorry, viewers. We're having some technical
Can,
difficulty on Mr.
yeah,
Can you hear me?
can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Okay,
You just froze big.
yeah,
Okay. Well, okay. Well, go
okay.
go ahead.
No, the one that was the most fun was the one I did, young and gifted, the new generation of entrepreneurship. And that book, I took 21 entrepreneurs who were not, or who were under the age of 40, and I had them. We had a conversation, and I did a profile on them where we talked about their backgrounds, their histories, how they became entrepreneurs, what made them want to become entrepreneurs, and then how they saw their particular industries that they were in when they first began, where they saw them kind of now, and then where they saw them in the future. So that was the most fun because I was able to get so much information, and you could see the different stories from each of these entrepreneurs, and what drove them to to want to be who it was that they were becoming, who they are, and who they were becoming, and then their perspective on their particular industry. So that one was the most fun because I actually sat down with them, and we had a conversation about just about them,
Hmm.
you know and it was just great to be able to talk about that, and to see the inspiration that they could give and did give to others. and going. Um, the toughest one actually wasn't mine. It was actually one of my authors, and I'm actually still doing it. We're actually trying to put her story together. I mean, it's a it's a deep story, and putting trying to put her manuscript together, it has been the most difficult thing because she has the because it's her biography. It's actually about her life,
Mm-hmm.
and putting the biography together and the pieces that she's given me because she has she has she's kind of has a unique way of how she's trying to put together her story. So that one is the most difficult one because of trying to put it together, because most of the time you have someone and they just they give you a manuscript, or they write, they write out what has happened to them. But this one actually encompasses not just her writing out the story, but using different different ideologies that she used to be able to come from the the sunken place that she was to where she is now,
Mm-hmm.
where she's sharing her knowledge and information, has been kind of the thing that has to, has been the most difficult thing, trying to put it together. Where all I had to most times all I got to do is say, okay, somebody tells me that they have an idea for a book, but they don't not sure, then we can kind of go from a different perspective, where it's either I can sit and write information, or they've already written information and I put it together, or they actually can we can actually sit down, I can record it and then do the writing. But this one seems to be a little bit different from that, so it's been difficult from that perspective.
Right. Okay. Does it take you a while to come up with an idea, or can you come up with an idea right on the spot for like a business plan? Do you have to write stuff down? Because like I know in different types of business, like people can think right at the top of their head, or they have time, they need time to marinate on the idea.
No, it kind of honestly, it kind of depends. Sometimes I can, I can think of something right off the top of my head when it comes to, an idea or something like that. Or sometimes I'll be like, nah, I got to think about that for a minute. I need to kind of, like you said, marinate on it. I need to kind of get the creative juices, get the creative juices flowing for it. So it just kind of depends.
Right, right. Okay. As an entrepreneur, what is something that you haven't tried yet?
Oh, there's been plenty I haven't tried.
Really? So what's that?
Yeah, there's been plenty that I haven't tried. Because honestly, I guess I'm very structured. So I kind of try to, there may be different tweaks that I do to something. And I'll give you an example with my business. There have been things that I figured, that didn't work. So I had to kind of figure out what could I do differently with it. Um, from that perspective. And I think as an entrepreneur, you should always be open to trying new and different things. If you see something's not working, you have to do an honest assessment of it. You have to say, okay, did this marketing campaign work? Did this branding campaign work? If it didn't, then what can I do differently the next time? What can I learn from what I did in this one that will assist me to do better in the next one? So I take it from that perspective, where, yeah, I might not have tried a whole lot of things, but I do make adjustments. I do try and tweak some things that I see need to be done. And I actually I actually will bounce things off of others that other business associates or other people that I know. Hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And get their perspective on it, because my ideals and my thinking is not to be all end all. I need I need to be able to have input. And if somebody tells me, well, you should try this, and I have a marketing consultant that I used that gave me ideas that I hadn't even that I hadn't thought about, or wasn't at first. I initially wasn't trying to go there, but but they suggested it to me, and I said, okay, I'll try it. And I found out that, hey, it can work. It does work. So so you really have to be open to it as well.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. What is something um here, how do I word this? Excuse me, I need to marinate on this. What has been an obstacle for you as an entrepreneur?
Mm. One of the obstacles for me has been actually has been getting the has been getting establishing the name and the brand JNF Enterprises. If you would have asked me what what did I not take seriously when I actually started business,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been that understanding what it takes to build a business, to build a brand. And I say this all the time. I have the utmost respect for those Fortune 500 companies because, as we know, every Fortune 500 company started off as a small company
Right.
and it's grown into what it is. And that takes, I mean, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes patience, it takes getting up, falling down. It takes, like you said, trying things and failing. It takes trying things and then working, but being consistent at it is the is the major thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I would say. Has been the biggest thing is understand is getting to having to understand that it does building a business, building a brand. It takes time, and there's a process to it. So that's the biggest thing that that I would certainly say about it.
As for any business owner, it is difficult.
Yes,
It is.
yes, absolutely.
There
Anybody that tells you it's easy
is
is
line,
lying to you. They are certainly lying to you.
certainly lines like, oh no, you can get this. It's easy as that. It's like, who you think I am, Boo Boo the Fool? Please, you know I
Absolutely.
have to work at this. You know you have to work. If you say that you go in this, like, you know everything, you're gonna be sitting there like a deer in headlights and be like, did it, did it, did. Yeah, I think
Yep.
work on this is like, yes, you do. Yes, you
Exactly.
really do. You really do.
And I think that those who are aspiring entrepreneurs and even those that are just maybe starting out, they I think they have that misperception about it that they're not going to have to work hard, that they're just all of a sudden going to have all of these clients or customers. Everybody's going to love what love what you're doing, and everybody's going to be on board with it. But that is the furthest thing from the
It is
truth.
the furthest.
You're,
It seems
you're,
it seems more like people today are more infatuated with having the title of being an entrepreneur or a business owner of
oh,
such than actually putting in the work behind it. It's like, if it seems like you're only living for the title, but the title doesn't have anything to back it up. The title
absolutely,
doesn't have anything to
absolutely,
back it up. If I'm not seeing hard working hours, I'm not seeing writing, I'm not seeing acting, I'm not seeing modeling, whatever it is you do, it's a bunch of hype. It's a bunch of
yeah,
hype. And
yeah, yeah.
if you don't like the real that I'm spitting to you, then maybe you should relinquish the title and try something else,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
obviously the title does not fit you if you're not putting the work in behind it.
Yeah, and I tell everybody that is an aspiring entrepreneur, it's a journey. It's a journey, and it's not meant for everybody because this entrepreneurship journey, it'll have you curled up, and I say this all the time. It'll have you curled up like a baby crying. It'll have you questioning, what are you doing? Why did you do it? All of those things. It will have you doubting yourself. It will have you questioning whether or not it's worth it. So you have to be strong
as with
willed. You
as
have
with
to be
any-
determined.
as with any as with any business owner, we all have that mentality. It's like, is this worth it? Is it really worth it? We all question it.
Hmm.
I question it. Haven't you? Haven't you?
Absolutely. Oh,
If you haven't questioned it, you
absolutely.
be lying.
Yep,
I'm
absolutely.
sure you
If
went
somebody
through
tells you,
days where you like, am I doing this right? Am I really doing this right? Because I'm not sure. And then it comes to
right,
fruition, like, I am doing something right. It's like, okay, phew, okay, breakdown over. I can get back to work now.
right, and anybody tells you that they aren't that they didn't worry or that they did not fail,
They
they
lying.
lying to you again. They
Lying
lying
to you
to you
again. Lying
again.
to you again. It's like,
They really are.
Like, you know what? Here, you're gonna need this because obviously, Boo Boo the Fool is your title. Boo Boo the Fool is your title. I love you, but seriously, you and Boo Boo's cousin just need to get on somewhere.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, what are your future plans for your business? Where do you see it going?
Well, eventually, well, what I see for JNF Enterprises, like we talked a little bit about earlier, was expanding the apparel, being able to offer that, to be able to offer that, more. I should say more because I have it now, but to be able to expand it a little more. And then I actually, doing this year, I'm focusing a lot more on speaking engagements where I'm actually speaking more, to to corporations, to at events or at at expos and at conferences and those type of things. So that's what I'm looking to expand into, and then of course still, being able to do the business consulting, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and then the publishing, expanding with that. I actually this year I actually expanded honestly into, when it came to publishing, expanded into children's books because I have a couple of children's book authors. So that was an expansion in the publishing realm because prior to and we started last year. I picked up one, actually both of them, the last year, going into this year. Um, because that was a genre I was just like, well, I don't write children's books. So I know, and here we go about questioning ourselves, saying, wow, can JNF really take on that particular, market, of being, having children's books that we offer. But I have two phenomenal, authors that are children's book authors, and their books are, they fall right into the core principles of JNF, which is to enlighten, empower, and impact. Those books do that, on even on a children's book level, because it's impacting not just the children, but it's impacting families. So, it's really awesome. So that's what I'm looking to. That's kind of where JNF is going, this year.
That's a good direction. Very good direction. I might invest in one of those books from my cousins.
Oh, cool, cool, absolutely, yes, yes, yes. They're two great authors. One focuses on, kids, and they're adjusting to when you have to move. Because you know how, as parents, you get a job or you have to move from one particular state to another state or a neighborhood to another neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
The story is about this little girl who has to adjust to moving to a new neighborhood and getting to know the little kids that are in the neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
and they have different different hues than her. So all of that aspect is a part of it. So, that one's a great book, and then the other one is just about, understanding your family legacy and your name.
Right.
So
Right.
it's called a flower named Tulip, which is really, and it's just two awesome writers, and their perspective that they gave, and what they bring to teaching, kids not only about themselves but about their families and legacies and heritage and stuff. So it's really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Yes. 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 Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, oh, hello, James. Here, one of our viewers. Okay. Here, what else am I gonna ask you? Ooh, what would you consider your most popular product?
The most popular one has been my, building the 21st century company book series.
Mm.
And that's the three books. The first one is the customer's not always right. The second one is the young and gifted that I mentioned to you, and then the third one is the art of leadership. Those three books, because they focus on different aspects of business. The first one, the customer's not always right, is about business and finance. Young and gifted is about entrepreneurship and how to be an entrepreneur, what steps you need to take, and then the art of leadership is about leadership from from 5 different perspectives, which is the family, education, government, business, and the church, and being a leader in those different aspects of life, or all of them, if you happen to be one in all of them. So that's been the the most popular. But as far as books are concerned, but the Be Unstoppable, that apparel, since I came out with that, that's really jumping off really,
Mm.
really, really well. Because
Yes.
people really like the t-shirt and the message that it gives, because I say it's not just a hashtag, it's a lifestyle, it's a mindset,
Hashtag, no, it's a
that you
lifestyle,
take on.
definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So
Definitely.
absolutely.
Because,
Hmm.
and that is definitely a quote that we need to live by every day, even when times are hard, because you have to be unstoppable. If you stop just because one thing goes wrong, then really you giving up when you just started.
Right. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
If one thing is going to deter you, then you
Then
got
you know what? You basically you signed yourself off. You signed yourself off just for one little thing. I know I've been through that.
you are certainly not built for it.
And you
So
certainly not
it's
built for it because you never gave your chance. You never gave your
right.
chance to build and to grow from your obstacles, your experiences, to build what would have been potentially the greatest business of all time.
Right. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
take that as
Absolutely.
take that as advice, ladies and gentlemen, because never sell yourself short. Because if you do, you basically blocked yourself from your blessings.
Hmm.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
What advice do you have for our viewers who are aspiring entrepreneurs? My friend James over here is a designer, a very phenomenal designer. You should really check out his work, and you should really check out his work because he is definitely amazing. What advice do you have for aspiring entrepreneurs who are basically in fashion, literature, basically any type of business that is trying to get ahead in the world? What advice do you give to them?
Well, I'll give them a couple of things. One is I'll say never stop believing. Never stop believing in what it is that you're pursuing. If you believe in it, trust in the process and keep working at it. Be consistent at it, but never stop believing in it. Even when everybody else may be telling you no, if you believe in what it is that you're doing, and it's something that you believe will impact people and will make people's lives better in some way, shape, or form, never stop believing in it. Um, the second thing is seek the impact. I talked about that. Don't chase the money. Don't chase the money.
Don't chase
Chase
the
the
money.
impact.
Don't chase the money. Don't chase the.
Don't you'll lose every time. When you chase the money, you will lose. You really will. So chase the impact, not the money, because when you impact people, trust me, they people will see the value and the worth in you because you're impacting their lives positively and you're pouring into them. So chase the impact. And then the third thing is enjoy the journey. It's gonna be ups and downs. It's gonna be good times. It's gonna be
Bad time.
bad times. I call it the 3 T's of entrepreneurship, and that's trials, triumphs, and testimony.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have those trials, you're gonna have those triumphs, and they give you your testimony of how you've done what it is that you've done. Everybody who is successful can tell you those 3 things. They can tell you about their trials, they can tell you about those triumphs that they have, and that gives you their testimony about what they've done. You know, and don't be afraid to do the work.
No, don't be.
You gotta do the work. You gotta do the work. You gotta do the work. You can't be successful without doing the work.
Right.
So that would be the last thing I would say. You can't. There's no easy way. There's no easy way to getting to success without doing the work.
Right.
So you can you can try and cheat it all you want
You can
to,
try and cheat it if
but
you want to, but
but
it's not going to make a difference. It's not going to
it
make a
is
difference
not
at
gonna
all.
make a difference
And you want
at all.
at all, at all. You can try and be the title, but you not the full title if you're not putting in no work.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mr. McKenzie, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking to be published or looking for apparel, check out JNFenterprises.com. Check out his Twitter and IG page, because he is basically the future, and we are going to be seeing great things from this man. And check out his speaking engagements. Miss McKenzie, I thank you for everything, for giving to my show, and I hope to see more of you. And I salute you on your journey.
Oh, thank you very much, and I appreciate it. And thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for having me on. Thanks for the conversation. I truly enjoyed it. I appreciate it. Thank you
I
so
truly
much.
enjoyed it too. Thank you very much. Okay, this has been Inked Lips for Lady Ink Radio. Peace, y'all.